So, thank you, Mitchell. That was really interesting about the book Double Helix by Nancy Werland. I've got a question. Actually, I've got a bunch of questions for you. And the first one is, what is Huntington's disease? What are the symptoms? And what's the percent of inheriting the gene?
Well, that's a very good question. Huntington's disease is a hereditary disease. It is very rare, but it slowly destroys your motor skills and neurological damage ensues. It affects generations and has a 50% chance to appear in the offspring of a generation affected.
Wow, that's really scary. So, what was the price of Eli in the story to be Huntington's disease negative?
Well, the price of Eli to be Huntington's disease negative was 8 of his mom's eggs were given for experimentation in order for him to be HD negative.
So he gave up his mom's, the eggs that would have produced children for himself. Wow. So what was Eli's relation with Kayla, Matthias, and...
Eli's relation with Kayla was they shared the same mom because she was one of the eggs his mom traded for Eli to be HD negative.
Wow. So how did Dr. Wyatt know Eli, and why did Eli's dad think so negatively about Dr. Wyatt?
The reason Dr. Wyatt knew about Eli, because in a way, he was his own kid. Eli's dad didn't like him because he's the reason they can only have one kid, and he experimented with the other eggs, which Eli's dad thought was extremely wrong.
Yeah, wow. And why do you think Dr. Wyatt's room and office was such a mess?
I think the reason that Dr. Wyatt's room is such a mess in the story is either he's never there, or it's just a symbol to show he's a busy man and doesn't have time for things. So when him wanting to meet Eli would be very strange, because if he didn't have enough time to even clean his room, why would he have time to meet up with some person that he just hired?
Wow, yeah, it actually sounds like he was very interested in his work and didn't care about cleaning up. Yeah. So if you could advance your genes, would you?
If I could change my genes, I wouldn't, because there could be side effects that aren't immediate, but show later on, and are extremely bad.
Yeah, no doubt, yeah. So you never know, it's all chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what are the repeating themes throughout the book?
For this book, there really wasn't very many repeating themes, but the ones that were repeated were constant in at least every chapter. But themes that were repeated were rabbits and scientific advances. Scientific advances are plugged in, such as theories and breakthroughs, as well as tennis and messiness. Tennis is kind of a symbol of richness, and messiness could be a symbol of busyness.
That's really interesting. So why do you think the author ended the book so suddenly?
I think the reason Nancy ended the book so suddenly was to leave a hint of optimism for the reader that Eli would find a way to save Kayla and make her HD negative.
Wow. What would you have done if you were in Eli's shoes and you got a job that your parents were very hesitant about?
If I was in Eli's shoes and got a job my parents did not want me to have, I would ask them why, and if the answer wasn't said, keep working there until they said it, or I figured it out. If it was just a very minor thing, I'd let it slide and keep working there. But if it was something very detrimental, such as, say, hurt the family or put the family in debt, I would stop working there.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. Do you next question is, do you think Nancy possibly used the rabbit as a symbol or literary device in the story?
The rabbit was an ongoing theme throughout the book, but I'm not sure what it could possibly symbolize. It could possibly symbolize avarice, as in the rabbit and the tortoise story. The rabbit was a very vain and narcissistic thing, and it only did everything for power and greed and money. Dr. Wyatt was much like this because he wanted money, glory, and power, and did whatever it took, even though it wasn't legal, such as the experimentation on the eggs.
Wow, that's a really well thought out answer to that question. What are your feelings on genetic engineering in general and its pros and cons?
I think genetic engineering could be explored, but only if there are certain boundaries, such as it had to be tested on animals many times before testing on humans. The pros of it could be that we could get rid of many diseases that are hereditary, but the cons of it could be that we could completely mess up the genes of humans and possibly de-evolve ourselves instead of increase us.
Very, very interesting. Would you recommend this book, Double Helix by Nancy Werlin, and if so, why?
I would recommend this book, actually, to anyone who likes sci-fi or genetics, and maybe also the mystery lovers. I would recommend this book because it's not deathly boring. Quite a bit happens in every chapter, and it is informational on the Huntington's disease. It's also good for just reading overall. Just a good book. Just wish it didn't end so suddenly.
Wow. Well, Dr. Rogerson, thank you very much. Thank you for answering my questions, and obviously you've got a lot of work to do, don't you think?
Yeah.
Your place looks pretty messy.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye.